Greetings. Welcome to week 11. This week we're going to deal with the topic of terrorism. No other topic in the first decade of this century has brought more attention than terrorism. And it started really in 2000 with the attack on the USS Cole by Al Qaeda in the Gulf of Aden, just off the coast of Yemen. And then, of course, there are the attacks of September 11th, and then attacks afterwards in Bali, in London, in Madrid, and in various other places around the world. Due to those attacks, terrorism in the 21st century has become synonymous with radical Islam. But it wasn't always that way. In fact, the evolution of terror from its origins in what many say are its origins in the French Revolution in 1793-94 during the Reign of Terror, through the 19th century and the 20th century and then into the 21st century, for a long time had very little to do with Islam. And the whole development of the idea of terrorism as a political tool had absolutely nothing to do with Islam. So we will look in chapter 19 through the historical evolution of terrorism. And one of the main ideas that we're going to deal with is an idea called propaganda by deed. And that was the idea that terrorism was a way for political groups who had grievances to use violence to bring attention to a cause. It was propaganda by deed. And so through violence, they could shine a light on the things about a government, about a state, about a system that frustrated them. And you look at some of the most notorious terrorists, I guess, and you think about Princip and the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand that triggered World War I. And then you think about September 11th, and in those two, and Osama bin Laden and Al Qaeda, and you think about the effects that those two acts of terror have had on the international system, and really especially with Princip and World War I mean, just changed the face of the international system. And what did it was not state versus state in many ways. It was a non-state actor who then used violence to bring states into conflict. And the same thing happened with the United States in Afghanistan and then Iraq. And so if you look just at those two instances of Princip in to begin World War I, and then September 11th in 2001, it's incredible the effect that terrorism has had on the international system over the course of the last 100 years. So we will deal with terrorism, we will deal with the idea of propaganda by deed, we will deal with the power that terrorism, especially in the interconnected 21st century, gives to non-state actors. We also will deal with geography this week, 17 countries of Southeast Asia. And those are listed on the website under assignments. And so you can find the 17 countries there. We will meet on Monday, April 24th to discuss week 11 and to look forward to week 12. Now, the nightmare scenario is if you take the content from this week and last week and you put them together. So you have the idea of terrorism, which we'll deal with this week, and you have the idea of nuclear proliferation. And a question that needs to be asked is the concern about Iran, does it have to do with the state of Iran and the fear of Iran as a nation state striking out against other states? Or is there a fear that because Iran is tied in many ways to non-state actors, to what groups that many, if not most, describe as terrorist organizations such as Hezbollah and Hamas, if Iran develops nuclear power, nuclear weapons technology, and is able to package it in a way that it could be delivered to non-state actors like Hezbollah, then that's the nightmare scenario, because you combine terrorism and nuclear power, the strength of nuclear weapons. And then it's hard to know, one, where the strike came from if it happens, two, who was responsible, three, who do you retaliate against? So, we will wrestle with that idea, the combining of nuclear technology and the weaponization of nuclear power and terrorism may be the most dangerous combination as we move forward in the 21st century, and it may be part of the fear as to why the international system is so adamant about not allowing Iran to develop nuclear technology, nuclear weapon technology. Have a good week. I will look forward to seeing you online and reading your discussion and your debate. Have a good week.